question is, what's your stance on immigration? Illegal, legal?
Yeah. Well, you know, I occasionally get asked, what's my position on illegal immigration?
I know that.
I'm not for illegal anything. Just want to put that out. All right? I think the first thing we need to do is just get control of the situation, right? We recognize the fact that we're a nation of immigrants. My family, immigrants. In fact, I'll tell you just to show you how much our identity as Americans can be so strong. I mentioned that even as a young lad, I would read the founding era. I was always very enamored with it. I've always studied our history. There was a point in grad school when I had this sort of epiphanal moment that my family wasn't even here in the Revolutionary War. But yet that's how strong I feel about our country, about our Constitution, and the idea of freedom, is that I superimpose that identity, that history on my family, even though we got here afterwards. So, so I bring that up because I want to state that we are a country, we're a country of immigrants, and we always want to celebrate those ideas that we get that keep us vibrant. Now, having said that, we are also a nation of laws. Oh, thank you. We're also a nation of laws, right? So if we don't enforce our laws, then who are we? So we've got to enforce our laws. So to enforce our laws, oh, they're making some big decisions. Thanks very much. Look, we've got to enforce our laws. We need to recognize the fact that we need to control our borders. That's not an impolite thing to do. Countries do these things. It's all part of who we are as a country. So the first step is we need to control our borders. Now, in places where you have a natural obstacle, like the St. Lawrence Seaway, that makes it easier. You can put customs and go from there. In places that you don't, you're going to have to create an obstacle. Right? Create an obstacle, and then, of course, you're going to have to surveil it. So you're going to have either some kind of technical or a mixture of technical and human means to surveil it. That allows us then to enforce immigration policy. That's also, so there's three dimensions of this, right? There's the enforcement, then there's the policy itself. There's the policy itself, our immigration policy. That is to say, how many people can come in, what's the process to get them in here and get them naturalized. Does anybody think we got that right?
No.
I don't. We don't. Just to look at supply and demand factors. It'll tell you right there. We don't have it right. We have farmers right here who have a demand in the labor market for workers, and they can't meet it. So, to me, I think we need to actually do two major things. One is we should take another look again. In 1996, President Clinton and a Republican Congress did good work on bringing forward welfare reform. I think we're going to have to take another pass at it in relation to unemployment too. Because you know what, right now, when you look at economic decisions that young Americans are making, as far as whether or not they stay on unemployment or they go to work on a farm, right now, it doesn't make sense for them, based on the situation, for them to leave unemployment and go work on the farm. So, and it has to do with them losing COBRA. And we need to take a look at that because, we can benefit from some time on a farm. Hard work is good stuff. Farming is great stuff. It's part of America. So I think, but even then, that's not going to meet the demand. That's not going to meet the demand. We're still going to need to have a program that is safe, legal, and expeditious that gets workers, a worker program that gets them to where we need the labor market. So we need to have an adult conversation about this. We're going to have to figure this out, seriously. Because right now it's hard. It's the same thing. It's so emotional. We've got to have this conversation. We've got to figure out how is it that we can get individuals here that can come because time is money. And when farmers are promised they're going to get their workers and then they don't show, or maybe they show 6-7 days later, that comes right out of profitability. So we've got to have the worker permit program that's put in place as part of this. And then also too, we should take a hard look at what are the numbers to make sure we have that right. Do we have the mix right? And that's a conversation the American people should have. But let's recognize the fact that that's a second piece of immigration that's not right. Yes, we don't have a fence, we don't have an obstacle, and that's a problem. That is true, it's a problem. But then we don't have immigration policy right, and that's actually part of the problem. That's part of why we have the situation where we are today. Then the third thing is illegal immigrants. That's a third dimension of this. So what do you do with the situation with illegal immigrants? I think we need to take, like so much else in life, I'm very influenced here by Aristotle. You talk about the middling way, the balance. We talked about this in the virtues. And we need to take a balanced, compassionate approach to this. On the one hand, we've said we're a nation of laws. So I can't sign up for amnesty. They broke the laws. So I can't sign up for amnesty. But on the other hand, there should be a mechanism in place for those that are here undocumented and illegal, for them to come forward and for them to plead guilty. I'm here, I've broken the laws, I want to plead guilty. They plead guilty, number one. So it's not amnesty because they have a record now. They may go on to live 100 years and never break another law. It'll be on their record that they pled guilty, so there's justice there. There's justice. The second thing is that they need to pay their fine. They need to pay their fine is equivalent to their back taxes. And the reason why is that one of the reasons why our taxes are high is because we're paying for when, we're paying their share. They're not paying their taxes, so they need to pay their back taxes. Then the third thing is we should do a check, because we don't want to have drug dealers and murderers. We should have a check, and then they should get in the line, in the back of the line. And I could be okay with them staying while they go through that process, if they follow that process. I find that balanced. I find that balanced, and it's a practical approach that moves us forward. And I think if they're not willing to do that, then they have to leave. They have to leave. Now you could say that that's a partisan issue, but let me give you this from a historical perspective. Not widely known. During the recession that became the Depression, the Hoover administration sent illegals back to Mexico. FDR did the same thing. Okay? They both did it. So what I'm saying is let's take a practical, balanced solution to this so that we can move forward. We have three aspects of immigration policy, and we have to move and take care of all three. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Straight. Hoorah!
Did you ask the question, how did we think the campaign was going when you walked in?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Very good, Teresa. Very good.
We're putting Gibson signs up on properties that have never had a political sign up, some of them for 20 years. But they asked for years. What did they get ticked off about? The endorsement by the NRA and the VFW. However, if you get on those websites, you will find that there's great internal workings now there. Because the VFW, evidently some political faction of the VFW got involved in that. But get on your websites and look at that. It's kind of interesting to read. The other thing that disturbed people was the half-page ad that we saw in the Post-Star telling, and this was Murphy, who is looking to have the young people come to apply for military academies, and that on the bottom, I don't know how many people looked at the bottom, but it said paid for by the taxpayers.
Right.
Which really got everybody ticked off.
It was a half-a-page article. It was
a half a page.
Yeah, that's $500
from a guy who co-edited in his college days an article against the Solomon Amendment. I mean, it was so ridiculous. People were on the phone over that. Did you see that half-page ad we paid for? And they were very upset. So I hope that tended to do a number on Murphy.
Well, let me say this. The whole NRA thing and the VFW, look, I have tried to tell this to anybody who will listen. NRA is a friend, and I've told, there have been all kinds of people offer, canceling their membership. I'm telling everybody, keep your membership. Keep your membership. Look, we got the highest rating possible. NRA is a friend. I don't view this as, and why? Because they believe in freedom, they believe in our Second Amendment, and so do I. So I'm telling you to hang in there. We're getting great support. The sportsmen all throughout the district, they're being enormous in our campaign. Look, Tom King is the highest ranking NRA guy in the state. He calls me and wanted to be an honorary co-chairman of our campaign.
Oh, you ought to publicize that. People would love to hear it.
Look, I'll tell you, we're gonna get great support there. It's the same thing with the VFW.
Sure.
I'm not wringing my hands over any of that.
I called NRA on that just so I would understand it. A lady told me the only reason he got it was because he had a voting record. He is the incumbent. You're the same level, but he had a record, and he is pro-gun. So they couldn't
Right.
put you above him.
Right,
That's
that's the way that works.
Yeah,
So,
that's-
thank you very much for coming.